Hello and welcome to Gender and Achievement Screencast, week 1 of 2. Here's our learning focus. We're going to look at gender differences in education. So why is there a difference? What kind of patterns exist? What external factors, what internal factors impact on it? And as ever, sociological theory. They're your keywords and key terms for your glossary. I need to see that you understand those, understand what they are. Okay, is there a gender gap? Yes, there is a gender gap. Girls do better than boys, okay, at nearly all stages. GCSEs, A-levels, they get better grades, they outperform boys, they stay on in post-16 education more than boys. More females go to university than boys. Even in vocational studies, females are more likely to get a distinction than even in the traditional male subjects such as engineering, construction, etc. Although both sexes have improved over the year, the females are doing it more rapidly and the gap's actually widening. But why is this the case? Well, we're going to look at the external factors first. And there's 4 main external factors: the impact of feminism, changes in the family and employment, and perceptions and ambitions. So the feminist movement had a major role to play in this. We've got Sex Discrimination Act, Abortion Reform Act, Divorce Reform Act. All these things changed the traditional stereotypes of women and how women were viewed as, mothers, housewives, home carers, and things like that. And there was also improved rights and expectations and self-esteem and motivation. Before all of these acts kind of came into fruition, then there was little motivation for a woman to do well in school, because the stereotype was that regardless of how well they do at school, they were going to go on to do the same sort of role. So there's little motivation, there's little self-esteem surrounding education. But they're no longer strictly bound to this whole idea of you're going to be a mother, you're going to be a wife kind of thing. And these have happened through laws such as these, but also social stigma. So the actual how society views women and the role of women has changed, and this is this has had a major impact. Mac Robbie believes that the media have played a really big role in this. So in 1970s magazines such as a girls magazine called Jackie and things like that, girls were portrayed very much as in the traditional image, in terms of young girls would help the mother cook and clean and look after dad and fetch his papers and slippers and stuff like that. Where in the 1990s onwards, we've got a lot more assertive, independent women. Throw your hands up at me, and that has helped women have positive role models and stuff like that as well. An evaluation of this is that although a lot of feminists would say that true equality hasn't been achieved, so we may be looking at the likes of radical feminists here, many would agree that the position of women has improved, particularly since these 1970s newspapers and magazines portrayed women in this traditional image, and that would be more like your liberal feminists. There's been changes in the family which have had a major impact on the educational achievement as well. How has a change in the family meant girls are going to be better at school? Well, lots of reasons, and the main one is about this motivation factor. You're no longer seen, because of the feminist movement, that you need to go into this kind of leave school, find a husband, be looked after and cared for. The increase in divorce rate means we've got a lot more single parent families, particularly lone parent families which are normally female headed, and for financial reasons they need to go out and actually earn money. So this idea that I could get married but I could also get divorced, or I don't have to get married, I need to look after myself financially, though, motivates girls to go on and to achieve well. A decline in birth rate, I don't know why that's on twice, I do apologise, and a decrease in family size means there's less children being born. It means that a lot of women are actually putting careers ahead of having families. Employment opportunities. Equal Pay Act in 1970 and the Sex Discrimination Act 5 years later has given opportunity to women to actually gain the same amount of money, gain the same amount of reputation and status as men within employment. So again, that's a motivating factor. Mitsos and Brown believe that there's a growth in the type of girly, women-y kind of jobs, such as nurses. There's more hospitals, there's need for more nurses, there's more teaching. We've got greater childcare. If you think about the fact that women are going to work now instead of staying home looking after the children, that has a direct knock-on effect about that we need childcare now because people are going to work. Who's going to have the children? Well, it goes into childcare. Predominantly, the amount of people who go into those jobs are predominantly women. So that again, it's a motivating factor that these jobs are out there. Webb et al. Say that the number of women in employment has increased 47% from 1959 to 70% in 2007. So quite a large increase, nearly 20% increase of women in employment in that period. Sharp carried out a couple of studies. One in 1976 where she found that girls' attitudes and ambitions were very traditional. So they were looking for husbands. The idea of marriage and careers was very, very far down on that list, where there's a big flip in the study that Sue Sharp carried out in 1984, where girls were identifying that it was career and independence that were the most important things, and then maybe a relationship later on or as a byproduct of these things. So we can see a real shift in the ambitions of girls here. And Francis carried out a study in 2001 that found very similar findings, in that when interviewing girls about their career aspirations, it was highlighted that there's more opportunities, and that has led to an increased ambition. So the fact that girls can go on to become doctors and solicitors meant that girls are now identifying, yeah, well, we can do that, so but we need to work hard to achieve it. Okay, so changes in social attitudes. So we've looked at laws and things like that. Now, women are being perceived a lot more equally in society, and this has come about as a result of these things. So we have the feminist movement, we've got the changes in family and the opportunities that they have, and these changes have led to an increased educational success. But just because there's opportunities out there doesn't necessarily mean there has to be a direct correlation that means they're going to be more successful. It's about drive, it's about ambition, it's about determination to actually gain the success, which is then going to let you go on to claim these opportunities which have come about because of all of these changes. So we've looked at some external factors and some important external factors that have played a role in educational achievement for differences in genders. Some internal factors. Remember, when we're talking about internal factors, we mean within the school. But many sociologists believe that the role of the school is much bigger than the role external roles, external factors. And the 6 key ones that sociologists have identified, and we're going to go through each of these 6 now. So equality. The education system has enabled equality to happen. So there's more gender awareness and positive discrimination, I suspect, as well. So we have things such as WISE, which is Women into Science and Engineering, and Girls into Science and Technology, GIST. So there's actual positive discrimination trying to get girls into these types of areas, jobs, things like that. Meritocracy of the national curriculum came around as well, where Kelly said that there was, because of the big change in the core curriculum, and that all genders, girls and boys, could study the same subjects, and that this has brought about a fairness and a meritocracy, so that it's not about your gender, whether or not you can go on to become a scientist, it's about your ability, and it's based on your grades. Okay. Boala has also identified that these policies are the key reasons for change in girls' achievement. These policies changing so there is a more meritocratic society and system, especially within education, and they are the key things that have allowed girls to become successful. There's also an increase in role models as well. There's an increased number of teachers, particularly in secondary school. There's always been a large proportion of female primary school teachers, but there's been a huge increase in the number of teachers teaching non-female, traditional female subjects as well. So science, maths, engineering, automotive, all of these different things. There's been an increased number. So girls look up to these women and think, if they can do it, then why can't I do it? Weiner also says that teachers are challenging these gender stereotypes a lot more. So if you look in some textbooks from, say, 1970s, you'll find there's a lot more, it says positive here, and I don't want to necessarily use the word negative from the 1970s, etc., about how women are portrayed, but very traditional. You wouldn't see many science books or anything like that where you've got women in lab coats who are doing science type jobs. Where now there's a lot more gender equality when it comes to role models, and although it might not necessarily be in your conscious, but unconsciously you might be thinking about, well, these pictures actually, they do tell us that we can become this type of person and get these type of jobs. The way assessments have been done in school paid a major impact, and we've discussed this previously about coursework and exams. Gorard believes that an increase in coursework has led to this gender increase as well. Girls are better at coursework. They're more organised, they're more conscientious, they're more likely to redo things, and this has been found by Metsos and Brown as well, that girls are more conscientious towards coursework. So the introduction and increase in coursework type assessment has led to an increase in girls' achievement and the gender difference. However, Elwood disagrees with this, because coursework isn't the only thing, because exams have a greater weighting than coursework, so it can't just be down to the coursework element. Teachers' attention is being looked at in terms of being a big impact, and we've got the idea that boys receive a lot more attention. As you can see, there's a lot of studies that identify this. Most of these are talking about, especially Swan and Grodel and Swan on their own, about how it's normally a negative attention. Boys are boisterous and troublemakers and things like that. So they are going to get more attention, but it's going to be negative attention. French found that the attention was very similar. It was only the difference was with the severity of the reprimand, not actually the amount of reprimand, but the severity. Boys got told off and reprimanded a lot more strictly than girls did. And challenging the stereotypes, we've talked about it a little bit already, but the teachers definitely challenging stereotypes, and education is challenging it. So there's a removal of gender stereotypes in books. So as you can see, a picture from like a Good Housewife guide back in the 1970s shows the kind of things that a woman would be going on to do. And if that's your aspiration, then why would you really try hard at school? Whereas if we, a quick Google search shows that these kind of things, we've got girls in a prospectus for a university who are actually doing science, which are traditionally very male-dominated jobs. And more positive images equals more inspiration and aspiration. Selection and league tables, which we've done previously, but marketisation. Girls are seen as desirable students because they are more intelligent, so the more girls you get in the eyes of schools, the higher up the league tables you're going to go. So the league tables results, because you need high achievers to get high up the league tables. If girls are achieving more, we'll get more girls in. This could lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy, I suppose, because if you're a school that kind of breaks away from this trend, then you might be looked upon as though you're not actually very good in being attentive towards girls, for instance. SLE seems to think that boys are seen as a liability, in that they are the ones more likely to be excluded from school. They're the ones least likely to achieve in schools, and you've got to put a lot of effort and a lot of work into dealing with boys. So why would you want to encourage that? So that's the end of this screencast. I know there's no slide saying for the lesson, but as ever for your lesson, you need to bring your notes with you. I need you to have your glossary up to date as well. If you don't have a glossary, then you can access it through our Google Drive account. There is a copy of it on there. If you need one, please email me and I will get it to you. Any problems, anything like that with the video, you need to come and see me well before the lesson. I also need to see that you have made some sort of effort in terms of acting upon your feedback from your mock papers and also the last assignment. Okay, I need to see evidence of that. See you all in class. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.